My girlfriend ripped the blankets off me last night, but I will recover. Hello, YouTube. Another exclusive cast coming your way here on Base Trade TV. I am Rifkin, and I managed to grab a pretty juicy replay, especially because one of these guys is playing in our upcoming tournament. Spawning down here, the man of the hour. It's going to be the Red Terran uThermal. And as I say that, I've lost all audio. Cool. All right, I had the sound muted. This is where, because it's a recording, you would expect me to go back and fix it. But psych! April Fool's a day later, question mark, spawning in the top left. It's gonna be the Blue Zerg player, Elazer. Let's just rock and roll with it. Now, this is a replay that's not from any tournament out there. Nobody has seen this game before, hopefully, question mark. But I'm excited to share it with you guys here. I'm going to actually quickly just fix my mouse. It's slipping and sliding all over the place. As I record this, I just got done playing a game versus another streamer friend, HKG Chicken Man. Quick shout out to him. It was a fun, but ultimately stupid waste of time.
Your drones are under attack. Hey, your base is under attack.
So now I hop into the replays to try and get this done in time for the morning. Hope you guys appreciate it. Now, Elazer and uThermal are great. Elazer's had large runs through the last 2 years of the WCS circuit. uThermal is like one of the best Terrans in Europe and also one of my favorites to watch. I mean, whether he's playing macro styles and multitasking like a god, or whether he's proxying battlecruisers against Hearthstone and getting me on the highlight clips of SC2HL, regardless, I always have a great time seeing his games. So while I have no clue yet how this goes, Nidus Worms probably... I am excited to see how this plays out. Actually, on that note, I should mention that the Nidus Worm, for all its complaints and woes, is still maybe not perfect, but it has been changed. If you guys haven't been keeping up to date with recent events, no longer does it have 5 armor while unburrowing, but 3. However, it still has the ridiculously fast unload mechanic, and while I don't know that Elazer will necessarily do this versus uThermal, it has in general been a very popular build across European Zergs. I know this firsthand from casting the WCS qualifiers, where pretty much I think every Zerg player we saw at some point did Nidus Worms. And I think what's great about them is it does allow you to just jump across the map in an instant, right? Not balance running for a second, but it is incredibly strong when you can just go across the map with your whole army. And you might argue Rifting, but there's medevacs, but even they can't go with a boost from the top to the bottom of the map in the snap of a finger. So it's a very powerful tool, a very powerful mechanic, and we will see whether Elazer abuses and uses it or not. One of the other questions we kind of have to ask for uThermal is, what style is he going to play? I've been a big fan of watching him try a variety of things when it comes to TVZ. I think at the core, his bio is still my favorite. But what we're seeing right now out of a lot of Terran players is a standard, you get that Banshee rocking and rolling, and then follow it up into this weird mech with the Cyclones and the Hellions. And I say weird, but let's be realistic. Nowadays, it's becoming more standard than not. Whether that's good or bad or will work here, we'll have to play this out and wait and see. But as I had mentioned through the intros, there's a tournament coming up, and I bring it up again because at the time of recording this, it's 2:36 a.m. on April 2nd. Ugh. And the tournament coming up will be on the 7th. We're going to have some qualifiers. 8th and 9th will be group stages. uThermal, as I mentioned, is one of the players we directly invited, so while it was very difficult to hunt down someone who had his replays, he's going to be a fun guy to see, whether it's through this cast here or through the group stages. We did manage to split the races a little bit. There's one Zerg, Terran, and Protoss in each of the groups. It's awesome. 2 thumbs up. I'll put a link in the bio down below here on YouTube. I hope you guys will check out the players we've invited. Hopefully somebody there will tickle your fancy. Try to get a little bit of something for everybody. Now, as I mentioned, this isn't from a tournament cast, so GameHeart, unfortunately, is not going to be available. We can't show you like income graphs or cool things like that, but you'll still be able to see the production and everything like you normally would. By the way, with the armory coming down, it leans towards saying mech. Hellbat's possibly on the way, but still Banshee's going to pair up with this, whether it's just for harass or for a follow-up push. I'm a big fan of Banshees when used correctly. I think that the Koreans for a while were pretty convinced that suiciding them for high damage and as much damage as they could get was the best way to handle it, but we started seeing a little bit of a different style of play here in 2019, where we've been seeing players do some damage, but then recover the Banshee similar to the way Protoss use Oracles. And I'm loving it. I just love seeing the game constantly change. The Banshee hasn't had any big tweaks or changes to it, but the way people use it, very different now than it was last year at this time. Armor upgrades first is a curious thing out of uThermal. It's not going to be terrible. It'll help the Hellbat survive a lot longer. Their innate damage can come from Blue Flame if he goes for it, but check this out. Right now, Elazer's not prepared for the attack. Bailing is still not done, so he hits and he hits hard. The Hellbat's coming in and immediately remove every single Zergling from play. However, still a lot of Queens giving chase. That Spore Crawler is going to keep the Banshee from getting any closer. He turns around on the Queens. Great move here. Unfortunately, chasing these on creep is a little bit of a pain, so these Hellbats, while sturdy and doing lots of damage, ultimately are going to get pushed back by the looks of things. The initial burst that comes in for those Lings, I thought Elazer's in a lot of trouble. This would be a quick game, but nope. Hold the phone, guys. This goes on. Now, I'm not sure if Elazer built these Spore Crawlers in anticipation of the Banshees and just simply moved them up. I wasn't quite paying attention. And yes, it's a replay. I could go back and check it, but the point is they're here on the front line and doing a great job helping keep these back because these Queens are likely going to go down. That's expected. But the Spore Crawlers guarantee that the Banshees can't win the game. And oh, well, looks like the first Banshee got popped. Second one sitting over here to the right. Hellbat's still being a big problem here for Elazer. Cost efficiency here through the roof for uThermal. Look at the bottom right here. The resources lost. The trade favors uThermal in every single way. And in fact, he's going to get some of these units out alive by the looks of it. 8 Hellbats, 30 Lings, 5 Queens. That's so expensive. But, you can dial this back a sec from the sensationalism of my hype. The reality is he didn't touch the workers. He didn't get to the drones. He's still 10 workers behind and a whole base. He's only just taking his 3rd as Elazer's taking his 4th. So while that's all good for uThermal on paper in every way, he's definitely come out nicely here in the early game. It has not stopped Elazer the way he wanted it to. If you get to the core of the drones, doesn't matter. That's when you start really hurting a Zerg player. So I love the little attentiveness here too to repair his units. All right, kudos. What's Elazer doing to recover? Of course, as we expect, there's going to be Cyclones and Blue Flame and Magfield. So the continuation of the Banshees is a little odd. He doesn't have any scouting for this, unfortunately. And Elazer, actually thinking on it, I've cast a lot of games where it's like Elazer versus Gumiho or Elazer versus Soul. And a lot of times we see some pretty consistent scouting with an Overlord. This game, it doesn't look like he went for Overlord speed. So he's not going to have that consistent scouting. And this is going to be a little bit difficult even if you have an Overseer. So maybe I had mangled and thought about like the potential of Nidus Worms. He's not going to be able to pull any of that off if he doesn't have vision. Not to mention, looks like he's going to be on the defensive. Another squad of Banshees heading towards his 4th base at present. Spore Crawler here is done, but he can poke at this for some time, do some damage. He'll eventually have to withdraw. More Spores are coming down, though, in anticipation of this maybe going deeper into Banshees. I mean, he's still continuing production. And while it's really unorthodox to see 5 to 10 Banshees in a game, I've watched Innovation win matches where he just pumps Banshees from start to finish. And they bulk up over time. You eventually get the speed for them. They're kind of gross to deal with. But I don't think this was going to be too heavy on the Banshees. As you guys see in the production tab, there's a couple of extra factories coming down here for uThermal. And of course, I had asked, like, what is Elazer doing behind this? It looks like Infestation Pit for now. I'm not sure if it'll be Swarm Hosts. To be honest, I'm not too keen on Swarm Hosts versus this style. I think Swarm Hosts are really good against the old school style of mech where you're going tanks and maybe a couple Thors and you just turtle it up. But against the mobile army, it's not nearly as effective. Maybe a couple, but I like the Infestors a lot. And here's a couple reasons why. One, this is like an old school style. Once upon a time, this was how we saw players deal with unbeatable mech. And it's kind of cool to see Elazer bring this back. Ravagers. Fungals will not be able to hold things in place, but it'll slow them down. And the biggest thing about Hellbats and Cyclones is they're kind of quick. They can move, they're mobile. A fungal growth slowing them in place is huge. Secondly, if detection becomes an issue, because let's be real, the Cyclone's going to kill an Overseer in like 1 second flat, fungal growth will reveal the Banshees as well. Acts as the detection while the dot's on. But oh, for right now, all of this hypothetical stuff about the Infestors is a little irrelevant. Big attacks coming in here. Elazer losing a lot of his units before the fight begins, but he does ultimately seem to clutch this, at least on the ground. Hellions and Hellbats are gone. 3 Cyclones in full retreat, but he's got no way to currently deal with these Banshees. As these gals continue to give chase across the map, it does appear that there's going to be some backup. So Elazer going a little bit too deep with a lot of his units. He wants to chase those Cyclones, but he knows he can't. Running back into the hail of fire from Banshees is gonna hurt at the end of the day. But let's be real. Again, look at the worker count. Look at the I wish I could show you the income graph. 80 workers for Elazer. What he's trading out right now are pretty cost efficient in a weird way. Roaches. Big Fungal grabs these Cyclones. They're too slow to run away. They've only got 120 health, and Elazer jumps on top of this. Nicely done. Most of the Banshees go down. Oh, it's going to be all the Banshees go down. He's ruthless. Oh, maybe not. Cloak at the just right moment. One more Fungal would have killed this Banshee. 30 damage per Fungal. 29 health on that Banshee. And let's not forget Spells Pierce Armor, so that would have really hurt. But ultimately, still Banshees in play. Now, somehow Elazer has kept the calm and peace of mind to get to a hive because hive tech is really key against mech. One of the most effective things you can do is go Vipers. Whether you want to throw down those blinding clouds, whether you want to just abduct all the Cyclones, Vipers have proven to be a really good tool when it comes to any kind of mech that you're fighting against. In fact, specifically abduct more than anything else. But it's a versatile unit that will trade well. You pair up a couple of Vipers with these Fungals that we've been seeing, and I think we're going to see some devastating losses for uThermal. A lot of this Celian Cyclone play, it holds strength in the early game and doesn't carry too well over to the late game. It does okay against Broodlords in some situations, but for the most part, I'm going to reference a game I recently cast. Hopefully at this point, it's no longer spoiler territory, but hey, I'm going to spoil a WCS match real quick, so hold your phones. Serral versus Hero Marine. Showed the power of a tech swap. Opened this style, went mech versus Serral. Ended up just going for Thors, and it worked out a lot better. In the cast, I doubted it. I shouldn't have. It worked, and he beat somebody like Serral with it. So maybe that's the end game for all the Terrans in this position. Maybe it's not, but it worked there, and that's what I gotta think will probably work here if it gets down to it. But oh, catching the Infestors out in the open. Target fires the high energy ones too, because a couple of Fungals got popped on those Banshees. Those ladies paying for themselves. It's weird because Banshees are such fragile units. Cyclones are such fragile units. uThermal is best described as having a glass cannon army. It will deal a ton of damage, but it will break very easily, even with the emphasis of this game being +3 armor. I want to highlight, there are no weapon upgrades for uThermal. You could argue Magfield Accelerator and Blue Flamer weapon upgrades, and I'd say sure, but the point is, he's been emphasizing armor. And I think what's great about the armor is it is versatile. It'll benefit his air units as well as his ground units. So the Cyclones will benefit from the armor, and so will the Banshees and the Ravens. And oh, it's a fusion core! It's uThermal, so maybe, just maybe. Oh, I'm getting so excited, I'm getting sick. Hang on. Maybe, just maybe, hopes of hopes, we'll see some battle cruisers. Although, to be honest, I think in this particular situation, I think Liberators would be great. There's the threat of Ravagers, but if you can set up 4 or 5 Liberators, you're going to zone out those Infestors. The Banshee's going to have free reign to move around. The Cyclones can dance under them all day. So, while my fingers are crossed, you'll have battle cruisers with maximum armor upgrades, because let's be real, they're going to be very durable. Logic, I think, says Liberators. Oh my god, half the Roaches just evaporated with that lock-on. That was nicely done, but not without losses. Now, there are a couple Liberators in play. We already knew that. That's not why I'm calling Libs. The Fusion Core for the range upgrade is probably what we're looking at here, although he's not started it yet. A lot of micro in the middle of the field right now. Both uThermal and Elazer have a good bank behind them. Not crazy, not amazing, but enough that a small scuffle won't be the end of the game. Although Elazer is banking significantly more minerals than uThermal. This gives him some time to think about what options he wants for counters, because that's the really difficult part about this. And oh, look at this predictive missile turret. This is so sick. Expecting Elazer to go for Burrow, Tunneling Claws, abuse them, he built a missile turret in the middle of freaking nowhere because it's the path most traveled for those Roaches. An excellent catch and predictive move out of uThermal. Really, really like that. He's cleaned up a few of the creep tumors, although funny enough, there hasn't been that much to clean up. Elazer's been really stuck fighting and hasn't had time to focus on spreading creep. Not a good or a bad thing, and also just confirming it is going to be Liberator range that's currently being researched, so woe is my hype for battle cruisers, boo-hoo. I think it's the better choice, I will have to concede, but you boy can dream, okay? Now, Planetary is going to make this hard to push in. Ravens are a very interesting choice. Obviously, not so hot in terms of overall, but they can interference matrix psionic units like Infestors. So you could technically cancel these out and prevent them from fighting. Could throw in some auto turrets. Is going to wall the Infestors back from the Cyclones. That was a nice little move there out of uThermal. Meanwhile, down to the south, looks like a couple of Roaches come in, but Cyclones should hold up here. So decent fights there, decent fights here. To be honest, it's more trading for both than anything else. Nothing too devastating and nobody really gaining significant ground. But 5 Liberators at a time, and our first weapon upgrades this game are going to air. Now, let me explain why I think this is dangerous to do. It's a good idea. You want to complement this. The logic is Zerg players will see your Liberators, they'll make Corruptors to counter them, but then that's where the Cyclones come into play. Cyclones deal bonus damage to armor. In fact, 800 damage in total to armor. So, if those Corruptors come flying in, it's at the risk of being locked on, and the Liberators probably will come out ahead in those fights. But there's a lot to be said. Full upgrades here for Elazer. He's on 3-3. Whatever he makes, Hydras, Roaches, they're going to be powerful. Let's not forget Infested Terrans benefit greatly as well. They get these little purple rocket launchers hit for like 19 damage or something. So if he goes for Infestors, if he goes for a couple Vipers, the air threat might not be so bad. The Ravens, of course, just leading the way to scout for the Burrowed Roaches. Nice. But I love this between the two players. Elazer's such a high-tier player. I know I'm focusing a lot on the uThermal this game, and dear Zerg watchers, I apologize, but I'm a big fan. Forgive me. But the point is, Elazer's doing a really great job countering what's happening. You'll notice he didn't pump out Hydras. He didn't go for Swarm Hosts. We actually see a lot of Zerg players put Hydras as their weapon of choice in this situation, and I don't agree with it. But in this case, Elazer's kept it pretty calm, pretty cool. Infestors, Roach Harass, which by the way has been a million times more effective than I thought it would be. But now he gets stumped. This is where he gets stuffed. Broodlords are an interesting choice. They can technically counter Cyclones, but at the same time, Cyclones can glass cannon counter Broodlords. You will likely lose a Cyclone to kill a Broodlord, but if you get that lock on, well, it's a lot more cost effective to lose a Cyclone than it is a Broodlord. Both players are making a lot of money. uThermal's actually the one with all the cash this time around, though. You know, these odd little missile turrets, the sensor towers here, they've been warning him of a lot of these attacks from Elazer coming down the middle of the map. I think this is a great move out of Elazer, consistently snipe those off, because at some point, uThermal's going to forget to re-put down a missile turret. At some point, he's going to forget to rebuild a sensor tower. And at that point, that opportunity, that's when Elazer can actually get across the map and do some damage to the economy. Because actually, as we go to the units lost here, there's a significantly low amount of units, like drones and workers lost for either player. So this game's been all about army and face value, face damage, nothing really hitting the economy. And by the way, I didn't even realize how many workers uThermal has. Am I casting uThermal or TY? He has 108 SCVs right now. This has garnered him a massive bank combined with his mules, and that's really cool, but I feel at the same time it's a little overkill. They are literally taking up army slots that could be going to army units. Not the end of the world, of course, but just to note, uThermal has a smaller army at any given time than Elazer, especially if they're both maxed out. I love this harass to the bottom. Elazer is very focused on what's going up here to the top side of the map. So he's left a little bit of an opening in his defense. So lots of lock-ons, lots of creep tumors, lots of spine crawlers, whatever spore crawlers just going down up there. Big lock-on the Corruptors. Doesn't get to keep the lock-on, though. You gotta go for that scan. If you lose vision, you lose the lock-on. But there's 7 Vikings at a time being produced behind this. This is where Vipers would be the most terrifying thing in the universe, but there's not a single one in play. Whether it's for the Liberators, whether it's for the Vikings, you throw out like 2 parasitic bombs, and that Terran player is gonna panic. And if they're panicking, they're not setting up their Liberators correctly, they're not getting the lock-ons. Ooh, anti-armor Dorito Cannon does hit the army. That's gonna give these Vikings a little more power. Keep in mind, the air army is not well upgraded for Elazer. He went 3-3 on ground quick, and he's working on 2-2 for air at the moment. So this anti-armor is going to work out pretty damn well. For those who don't know, by the way, anti-armor can take you to the negative, but you'll never be able to do that with Corruptors. Corruptors have the highest base armor that, other than, I think, Ultralisk and Battlecruisers. Like, they're going to be tough. At most, it's going to set them to 0 for now, and that's fine with one more upgrade. The Vikings are not going to be hitting that hard against them. But if you get enough Vikings, well, that's all that matters. You can kite them around for a little bit, dance back to your Cyclones, maybe set up some Widow Mines. Either way, this is becoming an all-air battle out of uThermal, and I don't think Elazer's realized just how, excuse me, how badly he needs Vipers. And funny enough, those Cyclones on their way out took down a couple of Overlords with the lock-on. This supply blocked Elazer pretty badly, and he's not rectifying this. Maybe he hasn't even recognized this. I'm watching that production tab. There we go. Stuck at 174 supply. uThermal, how many Vikings do you have? He's got 19 Vikings, 5 Liberators, and with an anti-armor missile even blanketing, let's say, half of this army, uThermal should have far more firepower. But he pre-splits expecting those Vipers. Like I said, they're not here yet. He's just built them, so they probably don't have energy yet. Snipes off a couple of Broodlords. That's nice. But unfortunately, funny enough, he doesn't have a way to deal with the ground, or more importantly, the spore crawlers. He can take on that Queen army 10 times out of 10. He can't touch anything, though, because he can't shoot the spore crawlers. Maybe if the Vikings land, but that's a whole nother thing. He's actually dived across the map with the Vikings. I'm not sure if this is for scouting or intentionally to pick off some overlords, but this is a great way to draw some of Elazer's army out of the position. Because, I mean, let's be honest, overlords are important. You gotta protect them. They are literally your supply. So we had a run by to the bottom left. Command center is gonna be delayed a little bit here. This is a burrowed roach. What a nuisance. Scan goes down to see another base trying to go up here for a laser. It's where the Liberators cover and you land the Vikings, maybe? I don't know. Does he have transformation servos? Yeah, this is really interesting. I'd love to get in the mind of one of these Terran players, because whether it's somebody like TY or whether it's uThermal, we're not seeing anybody go for transformation servos anymore. And I feel like that was a pretty staple item on your list of upgrades, especially when you're playing with Vikings and Thors and things that can really benefit from it. But man, this is pretty disgusting. Controlling the bottom left side of the map is awesome, but that means he's also given some position here in the top right. The planetary will hold on for a little bit. Those two orbitals don't stand a chance. You can't lift up and fly away with the Corruptors here. And he doesn't want to pre-engage with the Vikings. I think pulling back from that's the right move. He may have to give up 3 command centers, but it's better than taking away a huge chunk of his army, because again, I remind you guys, uThermal's army supply overall is fairly small because he has an overabundance of SCVs. Which I don't even know. A lot of them are idle, I guess. He's not mining off of them, that's for sure. But okay, spreads out for the parasitic bombs. That works out pretty well. I mean, parasitic bomb is not a guaranteed thing, but it will do damage if the Terran player is even a little complacent about splits. Meanwhile, we have a Cyclone run by on the other side of the map, blocking out queens and eggs, and I just don't know how uThermal has the ability to jump around like this. But Elazer's on 140 supply. In context, uThermal only has 91. It has such a low army supply. It's terrifying, because if he has to split his army, that's where it really starts to fall apart, and that's where Elazer should technically gain some advantage. But it does look like he's just clustering everything up here. All the queens are rallied. Corruptors and Broodlords are going to make this a big 1A fight by the looks of things. Auto turrets take care of that roach that was down here. Kind of forgot he had a couple ravens. He'll need those with the army, though. Oh, there's still some infestors. I didn't even realize. And he's got Neural Parasite. Okay, this could be kind of a cool way to open a door, but for the most part, I gotta imagine, this is infested Terrans and fungal growths. You fungal those Vikings, 30 damage to every Viking is massive. But oh, not if they sit in the liberation zones. One infestor goes down, the other barely gets out alive. He does pre-split his units, expecting that parasitic bomb. Look at the instant pullouts there. Nicely done. But even then, loses the base. Spore Crawler comes in. Bottom right, under attack. Planetary not done. SCV is going to die. Some Cyclones take out a base, though, so hey, it's a trade for a trade. It's a base trade. Sorry, come on, guys. Let's deal with it. This is not the game I expected, and this is not as far of a distance as I expected this to go. Massive air army out of Terran is avoided by most Terran players because it's so fragile when Zerg are using spellcasters. But he's so deep with this. I'm thinking back to the Hero Marine game. Again, not saying right or wrong for uThermal, but just thinking how effective Thors are. I would have loved to have seen him in this army. Thors are so good at dealing with Broodlords, but then weak to things like Abduct. So there's pros and cons as to why he may not have gone for them at all. His Viking army is fairly low. No repairs. A lot of detail repairs early on in the game, but not anymore. Establishes his base, finally gets back to mining. Of course, he's got a few extra orbitals. At some point, spores versus turrets, that's so dumb. At some point, he may try and take these other bases, but we're on Cyber Forest, and folks, we're almost out of minerals at this point. Like, each player pretty much has one base left they can mine from, and they're both constantly fighting over it. So, it's weird to say because they have such high banks. There's so many minerals, and they're still mining effectively off of bases. But if this game goes much longer, like if this game goes like 10 minutes longer, this may become a war of attrition, where one player simply has no money and the other wins because they can actually build army units, which really just unfathomable to me that that would be the case between these two. But to be honest, it's looking more likely than not at this rate. Neither has really been able to mine off of these bases either. A really small part of me wants uThermal to just start dropping mules on this base, long distance mine, steal the minerals. Because we would straight up just deny, but it wouldn't be worth it. The scans, I think, are really valuable. That's what we're seeing him emphasize the energy on for that. Okay, what's the unit standing count? 27 Corruptors, 25 Vikings. I think with a couple of Raven shots, the Vikings win this fight, but without those Ravens, I don't know that the Vikings win this fight. Especially if the Ravens are caught out. Oh no, he didn't have a chance. Oh, he cast one. He got one Dorito cannon. Go for it. Now's your time. Oh, even the Corruptors are stacked up to the Liberators will even get some damage done. He's got to be careful as he gives chase. Dodges the fungal. Dodges. Oh, that was so sick. This is, of course, still Micro going down on the bottom left side of the map because this is a crazy wild game. Plus 3 weapons not done yet for uThermal, but 3-3 done for Elazer. Oh my god. Oh, it's such a shame he couldn't capitalize on that Raven's death. Getting the anti-armor on those units was huge, but okay, big fight here in the bottom left, just waiting to happen. Of course, pre-splits the Vikings. There's the parasitic bombs he was expecting. Some on the south side targeting down the Broodlords works. Top side distracted here with the Corruptors, but here comes the infested Terrans, and they've got, like I said, purple rocket launcher set. Oh, I said 19, excuse me. It's 17 damage a shot. But the Vikings are pushed back. uThermal's out of really much to fight with. He's building more Liberators. He's building more Cyclones. Cyclones will work for some of these small-scale engagements because there's less units to kill them. Like, consider for a moment that, yes, there are Infestors, and yes, there's 20 Corruptors, but none of those are going to be really effective against Cyclones. Only the 11 Broodlords are truly that terrifying. In fact, I'm wondering at what point Caustic Spray is going to be prioritized. But okay, SCVs are pulled. uThermal had a lot of SCVs at one point. He had a bank at one point, but that's all gone. He's actually sent them all to the top left. Is this going to be... I thought he was pulling these like repair, but he's just maybe clearing up supply, but he doesn't have the money to do that right now. I'm not sure what these SCVs were doing, to be frank with you guys. These ones long distance mining, that makes a little more sense. Vikings coming to play. The Cyclones are not here because they're going for the attack. Looks like there's not a lot of defense on the other side of the map right now. Vikings just going to land to dodge out the Corruptors. I think that's the right move. Where are those Broodlords, however, looming in the middle? As soon as they get to engage, this gets really bad for uThermal. Oh. Going to try and lock onto a couple of Corruptors here. These do so much damage. Lock on is so good. There's an SCV that did survive with 1 health in the main base of Elazer, by the way. Get that man a medal. Repairing up what little he has. Some mules and a little bit of long distance mining. Command Center moves over. It looks like he's starting to get his economy back a little bit, but at the end of the day, if you guys remember early on in the game, it was uThermal that was massively ahead in resources lost, but as these trades have gone on, the later we've gotten into it, Elazer's actually up like 4k minerals and gas loss at the moment. More Broodlords are coming out. These Cyclones are going to have a lot to contest with. Nice dodge on the fungal. I think unintentional, but still a nice dodge nonetheless. And a very important base for Elazer gets shut down. So I guess while Elazer had remaxed and still has a very powerful army, he's been denied mining pretty much completely at this point. Income for both players just dropping. But uThermal sets up a base down here, so they'll have a little bit more to work with, and I can't even believe it. I didn't think this would go to the state of saying we might be mined out. We might get to the point where we might be mined out. And I think, like, again, I've hidden the timestamp so I go watch this for you guys spoiler free. I don't pre-watch this shit. I got no clue when this ends. Could be 2 seconds from now, could be 10 minutes from now, could be 30 minutes from now. I don't know, but this is ridiculous. Everybody's hungry for cash. There's not a lot of money left to work with on the map. And I mean, that's where you get to the point of just kill all the Corruptors and fill your command center, right? But uThermal has established another orbital over on the base. He's actively mining. His income is about 1,300 minerals, 1,500 minerals, compared to Elazer's 400. I guess he's accidentally pinged. I don't know why he would ping in a 1v1, but he has gotten his top right base back up. His bottom left base is a little out of position. Whoa, that talks about stress. But this is, okay, this is the beauty of Cyclones in this situation. I'm starting to see the gears that were turning in uThermal's head. First off, lock some of these drones. Amazing move here, right? But the Broodlords are too slow to respond at the top. So every time he knows the Broodlords are the southern part of the map, he hits the top. And there's just actually no way to respond to that. So he goes for the attack himself. Forces a fight down here to the bottom. The Corruptors are here, so the Vikings have got to be careful. A single Roach attacks this base, but who cares? And 2 hatcheries go down for Elazer. Now, yes, when Command Center goes down for uThermal, so it's not without merit, but okay, he's fighting over a missile turret. He's got a little bit of action. 2 missile turrets helping up, but missile turrets are kind of garbage against Corruptors. Let's be real, guys. Vikings making their last stand. I don't think they're going to really win this fight, but as some Cyclones come in, Elazer gets too scared to take the rest of the battle, and I think retreating here is his only option. There's so many Infestors with so much energy, though, that this is still a viable fight for Elazer. Broodlords lay siege. All the Cyclones have been brought back from the top. uThermal's going for the defense. This could be his last stand. He doesn't have enough money, and more notably gas, to remake enough units to fight air. The Planetary is about to go down. The SCVs have not been pulled away from this. He's going to go across the map himself. What a madman. He knows he can't fight this. If it weren't for those Infestors, if those Infestors weren't here, I guarantee you, he wouldn't be so scared. Broodlords are nothing to these Cyclones, but those Infestors, a single fungal kills uThermal. So moving across the map, I'm not sure if we're going to full-on base trade territory or what the deal is. Oh, he's going to snipe the Vipers. That's a great move. Grabs the Vipers, kills the rest of the Corruptors. There's no money. There's nothing. Wait, if he kills the Corruptors, what's there even left? He can't build anything. Well, he can build a couple more Corruptors, I suppose, but the point is there's not going to be enough to guard the Broodlords, and that's where the Cyclones can work, and there's so many Cyclones in play. It's 27 Cyclones and the 11 Broodlords. Each of them only needs to get half of a lock-on or 2 shots off, and they can kill this whole army. Oh, man. I mean, there's desperate scans coming down where you wish you had mules at times like this. He's still running away from the Broodlords, not willing to take a dedicated fight. Elazer tries to take the hatchery at the bottom left. This is, of course, uThermal's base he's taking. uThermal with the run-by, though, just stops for a second, locks onto everything he possibly can, keeps moving, kills Overlords, kills bases. Elazer, funny enough, you know what? I talked about him not being able to build anything. Yeah, and he can't. He's out of gas. But more importantly, he can't build anything because he's soon to be, like, just straight-up supply blocked. So many Overlords have died. 23 Overlords have died this game. Whoa, 69 Cyclones too. And from what I'm told, that's a hilarious sexual number. But, oh my god. Compare 23 Broodlords to 6 supply depots. Like, that is just ridiculous. Okay, he's going to lift the command center. He's playing so cost efficient. Money matters at this point for both players. They're both so desperate for it. So, saving the SCVs, lifting the command center. Very important moves to be making. Base looking to get sniped off. Again, Elazer trying desperately to get back home, but his army's too slow. Base goes down. That's a kill, not a cancel. That's 300 minerals. You can't afford to lose. Both players are close to 60,000 resources lost. That's a combined 120,000 for this game. That is nuts. Hatchery gonna go down. There's just nothing he can do about to stop it. He's gonna keep pushing on the right side, but if this comes down ultimately to a base trade, Elazer has no gas. Well, I guess he can maybe take the top right, but he can't build a Corruptor. uThermal would win by floating a building, if that came down to it, but we're not there yet. We got a couple Vikings still willing to make their last stand. Fungal grows the land of the Cyclones, but he grabs the lock-ons on the Infestors before that happens. Here we go from the right side. Corruptors on the left. For some reason, there's nothing here for the Corruptors to fight, so the Vikings go in. They target fire down the Broodlords. Massive Infested Terrors coming out in a desperate move. Both players almost out of army, but it looks like uThermal can just walk away and re-engage. I'm not sure. Oh, it's a GG! Oh! What a game! I'm actually trying so hard not to cough. I got way too worked up, way too excited for the end of that game. Hot damn, is what my man Tempo would say. But that is going to be a wrap. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I don't even know if I need to add a spoiler screen to this one, to be honest, because of how damn long it was for one single game. But again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment down below so I know that people are actually watching these and that it's worth making more of them. Hit that like button too while you're at it. But guys, girls, ladies and gentlemen, anyone who watched this video, yeah, my appreciation. Mark it down on your calendar. Sunday, April 7th. It's going to be qualifiers. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you want to play, we have no league restrictions. We have no region restrictions. Well, it'll be played on Europe, so keep that in mind for your ping. But we welcome you all to come. Otherwise, for the fans, April 8th and 9th, we're going to have 2 days of group stages with a lot of fantastic players. Each group has one of every race for your taste. And then, of course, the following week on the Monday, Tuesday will be the playoffs. All the details, like I said, will be linked in the bio down below. So again, thank you guys for watching. And once more, off to the spoiler screen!